We're back here with some more coverage from our AWS reInvent recent video stand. If you haven't seen some of our other AWS reInvent coverage, you know what, at this point, most of the videos are up. You can catch them on TechStrong.tv, on the TechStrong TV YouTube channel, or on our TechStrong TV OTT app if you've got Amazon Fire or Roku or Apple TV or even iOS or Google Play. You can get the OTT app there. But let me introduce you to our guest here. His name is Robert Sirchia? Sirchia.
Yes. Close.
I was close. I left the S out. Robert Sirchia. First of all, Robert, welcome to TechStrong TV.
Thank you
it's
for having
the first time he's been on, so glad to have him on. Robert, you're with SUSE, unless you just took the shirt.
It is a great shirt. It is a great shirt, but I am with SUSE.
Okay. And tell us, what's your role at SUSE?
So I am the Director of Technical and Community Marketing. So I handle our community efforts mostly around our consumer community, and because we have multiple communities, it's like that with any tech company.
So direct to consumer kind of stuff versus?
No, when I say consumer, it's people who consume our technology is the primary focus, and then our secondary focus is people who contribute. And on the OpenSUSE side, their focus is slightly different, where they focus on contributions and less on people adopting, they kind of build it, they will come over on that side. So they cater to making sure the project package maintainers are taken care of. And the needs of these two communities, they overlap, but they're not the exact same.
I love it. You know, we've, over the course of AWS reInvent, I bet you I interviewed a half a dozen to 10 SUSE people. Mm-hmm. Not one of them really spoke about, they mentioned the community, but they never really spoke about the community. And so let's start right there if we can. When we talk about the SUSE community, and you mentioned there are different facets, aspects of the community, but how do you define this community? Can you give us sizes, give us, I don't even know how you would define it.
I define our community as a large group of practitioners who enjoy the technology, and that is the binding glue that brings them together in our community. To count it, it's hard because people are in certain channels and they're not in others. And we estimate anywhere between 45 to 65,000 people who are active, who they participate in Rancher Academy, which is a LMS platform we put out. We want people to learn about our projects that are out there, or they're in our Slack channel, or they're engaging with us on social media. And we understand there's crossover, so that's why it's an estimation, because we don't track exactly who's who. That's just kind of creepy. We just want you to show up, participate.
Well, but that's part of that open source mantra, right? Yeah. We don't track. Yeah. We're not looking for your blood type or DNA samples.
We don't want to know what your kids' names are. We don't need that.
Or even your birthday.
Yeah.
But so a lot of it is online, it sounds like. But then, like at an event at AWS reInvent, are there any kind of SUSE community activities tied to it?
We do a few videos that we post out. The community does cross over with AWS slightly when it comes to some of the projects. AWS does have a large user community, and there's some crossovers there with that. And we see it more so on the consumer side, very little on the contribution. For us here, it's just showing what's the latest and greatest on AWS, because we understand that there are community users who, they're not customers, but they use our projects in AWS. And we want to make sure that I don't want to say meet their needs, but we acknowledge that that's where they're at. And,
they matter. They matter. I get that. What about in-person events in the community? Not just at AWS reInvent, but...
So when we have any large event that we try to attend that piggybacks where our community's at, whether it's here at reInvent or KubeCon or Open Source Summit, we like to engage with our community, let them know that we're there. We always have community team members on staff at these events to ensure that, they can meet the people that they talk to online. Like these are I don't want to say they're rock stars in my mind, because they're great individuals on our community team, but I want to make sure that they can connect, in person, just because, it's post-COVID world, having that interpersonal connection is nice sometimes.
Sure, absolutely. Let me, One of the companies I had started was called the DevOps Institute. We sold it about 3-4 years ago. But we had a nice community. It was very simple. It was very easy. Well, it wasn't that easy, but one part of the community, the people who actually had taken our certification classes and our courses, and those we did know their children's name and their date of birth and all that because we knew who they were. They had, they took classes and they were certified. The bigger part of the community, though, were just people who maybe, didn't take a real certification class, but somehow consumed our content or what have you. And it was always, the discussion we always had at the exec level is, why would those people want to be in our community? What's the advantage of being in a community, if you will?
Well, I will speak, in any community, but I want to speak towards the technical community because, it's what we're talking about and it's fairly relevant, is that individuals have to take some of these skills to work. Yep. And they don't want people to know they don't know. So being anonymous, being able to go and adopt, learn, and grow outside of your normal work environment to come back in and say, I know this, so I can talk to it. I'm participating in it, and I think that's where you see it. And it does cross over to non. I'm an avid cook. I love cooking. I love cutlery. I'm in a community about cooking, and so new knife skills or something like that because I want to learn and grow, and not think my wife thinks I don't know what I'm doing in the kitchen. But that's just the same thing. It's the same adoption that you want to have. And it's not judgmental. Someone comes to the community they don't know. It's like we point them in the right direction. People love to come in and answer questions for them. And they take that back to work or they take it back to school.
Absolutely. So there is the help you grow, and especially from a work-related point of view. Look, there are plenty of people who are hobbyists, especially things like open source and Linux and so forth. But it's a way to advance your personal career path. Let's call it that way. What else and this is me talking now, I don't have anything to back it up.
Sure.
But I think it's part of human nature to want to feel part of something, part of a community. And as you said, it could be cutlery, it could be cooking, it could be anything, but you always want to feel like I'm not the only one who feels this way, who has this problem, who, is working on solutions to a particular issue. I think there's something intrinsic to humanity that wants us, that drives us to be part of community.
Yeah, it's a sense of belonging.
Yeah.
So when you talk to people, like we have our regulars in the community, and you talk to them, and sometimes they will just want to say hi.
Yeah.
And or they will bring you something that they did, and they want to show it off. And I love that because you're seeing someone who has the same type of passion, and it makes me feel better because it's not me going like I'm just a nerd here. There's other nerds like me out there.
Absolutely. Look, I built my whole business here on those nerds. Right? I mean, they're the people who watch our stuff and consume this. But it's part of being in a tribe.
Yeah.
Right. It's tribal at its very nitty gritty. It's tribal. Right. These are people who are in my tribe. It may not be a tribe that I live with or something like that, but we share that common bond, that common interest, and they become part of your tribe.
And it goes even down further where it's like I only like Linux. I don't like cloud native.
Yeah. And that's okay.
And we have a lot of people who are like that. And there's always rivalries in any type of community. So, we're better than you kind of thing. And it's akin to sports fans, right? And then as a Cleveland Browns fan, I don't really fully understand what it's like from a sports perspective, but I'm sure like Eagles fans or someone else out there, with a better team behind them would understand that level of, rivalry that you have with the technology.
Yeah. My sympathies to you, by the way.
Thank you.
Looks like you can have a good pick at a quarterback again, though. Let's not get into football. I'm a Steelers fan. I have my own trouble. But, and I actually, when my brother, he's one of a fire toddling guys, and I would say, hey, be careful what you wish for, because look at the Cleveland Browns, right? But it's all relative. But it is. We're tribes. Football fans are definitely community and tribal.
We still love. It's in that crossovers. We each love our teams. The Steelers and Browns. We would love our teams, and we have those rivalries, and we can say, oh, we do this better. And we even have it in the Linux communities where they don't. There's certain schisms that you have, and sometimes they get toxic because we're in an online community, right?
Yeah.
And when you don't have the interpersonal, things they get dark, but they usually recover them. And that's what the beauty about a community, it like naturally recovers.
I think part of that, though, is and you hit on something. When you have a virtual community, it's easy for people to sit behind a computer and say something that they would never say in person.
Yep.
And it's easy to misinterpret what someone else wrote, and they may not be the greatest written communicator. And you taking it the wrong way, or they just wrote it the wrong way. And look, I've been in online communities for a long time, maybe 40 years. And
well, you also you didn't mention, but we're international, right?
Right, and you guys are.
And so there's language things. There's language.
Oh,
I wouldn't
really?
say barriers, but this.
No, but there's miscommunication
all the time. And sometimes I come into Slack and I'm like, what's going on? Why is there a dumpster fire today? And I'm like, oh, guys, he meant this. Like that's not that word that you think.
But it doesn't take.
It doesn't take long.
Much.
Nope, it does not.
People over the edge. Robert, we're running lower on time, but for people out here who say, you know what, I've been a SUSE fan, or I've been a Rancher fan, or both, or what have you, I'd like to be more involved in the community.
Sure.
What's the best on-ramp for them?
I like to say that our Slack channel, and it's slack.rancher.io. You can go sign up, and you get dumped into our general chat, and we see people who get put in there, and just say hi. And someone from the community team or someone from the community will do it and explore what they have going on in there. There's a lively chat. There's random stuff that people post. There's technical chats. So if they want to learn more about K3S or Rancher specifically, that's generally the best way. And I'm in that Slack more than our work Slack. So
really?
That's my world.
Well, that's your work.
That's my world. So I go back to the work.
Tribe.
And I go back to the work one when I have to, but that's where you'll catch me. That's probably the best way. And again, this is for the consumer side. When you're getting started in a community, you don't have to come and contribute right away. I always tell people that just come and say hi, and find where you want to connect. And it doesn't have to be contributions right away. It doesn't have to be consuming right away. It's just showing up and just taking part.
Excellent. Is this your last show of the year?
This is my last show.
Me too.
I'm getting very busy with and I'm going to do a shameless plug on SUSECon coming up April 20th through 23rd in Prague, Czechia. That's what's consuming most of my time now, is the planning for that. On the CFP committee, so I'm going through, me and a group of individuals at SUSE are going through a ton of talks with a lot of great topics. So if anyone is in Europe, can make it, I hope to see you there.
I'm hoping to be there as well. I'm thinking maybe I should submit something. Has anyone submitted anything on AI yet?
Oh,
I'm kidding.
That one right there is. I think that's the vast majority. And I think when I saw one that wasn't AI related, I was excited. I was like, wow.
I get that way too.
Who was brave enough to put that one in?
It's a crazy time to be alive.
I know everything's AI, but yes, if anyone can make it, I would love to see you there. You can go to susecon.com, find out more information about that.
I love it. Rob, thanks for coming on and talking with us today, man. This is great. Hey, go check out the rest of our AWS reInvent videos. SUSECon is coming. I believe it's April 20 to 23rd, as Rob mentioned, in Prague, which is a great city. You don't have to be in Europe to go to that, though. They do have planes that come from here to there.
Yep.
And it might be worth your while. I've done SUSECon. Actually, the last SUSECon I did was in Orlando near our house.
Yep.
But it was a great event as well. So highly, highly recommend it. But that's it for here. I hope you've enjoyed our AWS reInvent coverage. This is Alan Schimmel for TechStrong TV.